Hey everyone. Sometimes the biggest injuries in life don't come from enemies. They come from carelessness, from rushed moments, lack of awareness, poor communication, or people forgetting there's a human being standing beside them. And tonight, I have to be real. Tonight's conversation is about workplace safety, personal differences, self advocacy, and learning how to speak up for yourself professionally. Because what happened to me today could have been much worse. And honestly, it could have been prevented. So, aloha everyone. Welcome to day 43 of my 100 Lives in 100 Days challenge. Tonight's live is different. It isn't about branding, it isn't about algorithms. Oops. It isn't about growing a business. It is about real life. Real life. And I think these conversations matter because workplace injuries affect more than people realize. What happened today is that at work, I ended up in the ER after a workplace injury involving my right pinky finger, which is especially difficult because my dominant hand is my right hand. And I also use a cane. So it's now even harder to just walk long distances. I don't use the cane in the house or anything like that. I can get around, but if I have to walk distances, I need to use a cane. And what happened today wasn't chaos. So, a passenger's bottle needed to be flushed out of the x-ray. And it happens, things sometimes get stuck or whatever, and we have to, like push it through. We have to flush it through. So, but a fellow TSO, instead of calmly placing one or two bins onto the moving belt to push the water bottle through, she took a heavy stack of bins and slammed it down aggressively and then pushed it into the x-ray, the whole stack. Why? Unnecessary. I don't know. But at that moment, my hand was resting on the metal ledge because there's like these little walls, right, where you put your belt, put your luggage on, and it stays on the roller until it reaches the conveyor belt. And so there's these short little barriers, right, on the side. So my hand was there, and I'm talking to this lady and divesting her things. She's this mom. I think she had 2 kids. And that's when it happened. So my hand, wasn't inside the machine. I wasn't doing anything unsafe. I was doing my job as a divestive officer, a DO. So that's when a fellow officer dropped that stack directly onto my finger. And then push the bins in. That impact is what caused the injury to my finger. Of course, when it happened, you could hear the bins bang, right? And I was like, ow. And she's like, oh, like as if she didn't even notice or anything like that. She put the bins in and walked off. Like she didn't even like ask if I was okay or anything like that. There's clocks on the walls. So I looked over and I could tell that I was going to be getting tapped out in a little bit. So like 10 minutes. And so I was okay to complete my job, my position, because I didn't want to just rip off my glove and be like, you did this, no drama. I just wanted to get things done. So anyway, um, I went ahead and got tapped out after. And as soon as I got off the floor, I mean, I wasn't even off the floor yet. As soon as I started walking away, I pulled the glove off. And I noticed that my finger was fat and blue. It was like, oh my goodness. So, anyway, airport medics responded. I went to go find my supervisor to let her know. First, I told the lead, I was like, I need to go find Natasha. This is what happened. So and so dropped a stack of bins on my hand. And he's like, oh no, go check, go tell Natasha, whatever. That's my supervisor, right? So I go and I go talk to her, and she's like, oh, um, you need to get some ice on that. Let's take care of it. So anyway, she was super, super cool about it. She was really nice, did everything really good and professional. She was like, you need to go ice that. I will figure things out. She just needed me to put my hand on ice really quick. And I'm like, great. I will put it on ice. Where do I go? Where do I get ice? And she was like, Burger King is closed, right? It was right there. So I'm like, okay. And they were super nice. They did. They gave me a cup of ice. But after she said she called the medics, they're going to be coming or whatever. So I went and took care of that. They splinted my finger because it was so swollen and everything. After the ice, it was getting better, but it was still swollen. And it was like stiff. I couldn't bend it. Like I couldn't close my hand. I can't close my hand. But he said, can you straighten your finger? And I couldn't, because it was like kind of bent like that and so fat. Anyway, it was crazy. But they came, they splinted my finger, and then he said, I would recommend that you go and get it x-rayed because you don't know if it's broken. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And so I ended up in the ER to evaluate my finger injury and get some x-rays. But honestly, that moment kept playing in my mind because this injury didn't happen during an emergency or anything like that. It didn't happen because there was an active threat. It happened because someone moved aggressively and without enough awareness to the people around them. And that is why workplace mindfulness truly does matter. I don't know how much I can say that. People need to think about the people around them. Now, she did say, excuse me, Michelle, or something like that. Excuse me, Michelle, or something. Or excuse me, Michelle, or so. Anyway, however she said it, she does say it like, she's very aggressive kind of talking person. And so anyway, I did move over. There was no reason why she had to take those bins and slam it down. That's the whole thing. Anyway, let's carry on, right? let me finish this, because the ripple effect of carelessness is something that people need to hear. This is the part that people don't really think about. Workplace injuries don't affect just one person. The ripple effect of today, just today, looked like this: one officer injured, and I was removed from duty. Another officer, my husband, had to be pulled from his own assignment to take me to the ER. We're both TSA officers. So, two TSA officers off the floor, two TSA paychecks impacted, staffing shortages affecting public travel, right? It was already so busy. It's a busy day. Today was busy, and it was busy at my husband's checkpoint. It was busy at ours. We work on two different sides of the airport. But not only the staffing shortages now affecting people traveling, medical evaluations and paperwork had to be done, not to mention the pain, the emotional stress, and the disrupted operations for multiple people. Not just me. Now it's short. The stress on the supervisors, the stress on the leads, the stress on the other people in the checkpoints, because now they're just down one more officer. All because of one careless moment. One careless moment, one careless movement. That is why workplace safety isn't just about policy. It is about people. Every action matters. Every movement matters. Every decision affects someone. It affects someone. And now I want to talk about something people usually avoid discussing altogether. Personality differences in the workplace. Because not everybody communicates the same way. Some people are calm, some people are abrupt, some people are emotionally intelligent, and some carry stress aggressively. Some people move with awareness, and others move impulsively. And if we're honest, sometimes we notice certain energy or behavior patterns long before an incident ever happens. But how many people ignore those feelings because they want peace, they don't want to cause conflict, they don't want tension? And I want to say this carefully and responsibly. Not every uncomfortable interaction means someone is malicious. I'm not saying that. Sometimes personalities simply clash. But wisdom says pay attention, stay aware, document appropriately, and never ignore the repeated patterns that affect your well-being, safety, or work environment. That is a part of your human rights to be treated equally. So, as a human rights activist, as a human rights consultant, I believe that people should be treated fairly and equally. You shouldn't be made to feel a certain way in the workplace because somebody cannot control their own emotions and they just bring it out on everyone, right? So that part I need to say, because how many times, how many people out there are working in environments that they don't like because there's someone else who makes work hard. They create tension, right? For me, I'm a pretty chill person. I don't let things get to me. People act a certain way. Oh, well, I chalk it up to a personality difference and I let it go. But how far do you let it go? Oh, sorry, I'm putting up. I had the ring that was on this finger, I had it on this finger, which is weird because I have my wedding band. So it was making my finger hurt because it's too tight over here. Anyway, that ring was on this side. So, anyway, people are people, but when it affects you, you do need to speak up for yourself. The one thing healing has taught me is this: speaking up for yourself is not being difficult. You're not being difficult, especially for women, especially for survivors, especially for people raised to stay quiet and avoid conflict. Advocating for yourself can feel super uncomfortable, super uncomfortable. But healthy workplaces require communication. Let me say that again. Healthy workplaces require communication. And documentation protects everyone involved. I was just talking to my husband the other night about not saying things to make a change because you want to keep the peace. If you don't speak up, if you let it go and you continue to let it go and then somebody else lets it go, and you're basically allowing that person who is difficult or that person that is wrongful or that whatever's happening, if you don't speak up, you're allowing it. You are basically allowing that to happen. So you have to be okay with speaking up and documenting. Documenting. That's why after today's incident, I submitted a professional report. I filled out the paperwork that needed to be filled out. I'm so glad that Ruth, the manager, and Rami came down and they made sure that all the paperwork was being done and everything that they needed, I got to them before I left. So, filling out that report and doing what I did and coming home and writing a letter and emailing them my doctor's stuff and all that. It's not emotional, it's not reckless, and it's not accusatory. I'm not accusing anyone. It is professional. Facts, timelines, medical updates, my medical paperwork that I had to get, observations, requests for follow-up procedures that I need to go. The ER doctor gave me some instructions and I need information. So those things you need to get requests for those follow-ups, the procedures. And like I said, honestly, that matters because emotionally reactive people often lose credibility. If you're emotionally reactive, you're going to lose credibility. But calm, grounded, factual communication, now that's leadership. And when I talk about walking in aloha, like I said, it's not one and done. It's not like something happens, you walk in aloha, you're good, never happens again. Walking in aloha is a constant. It's an everyday, every time there's a problem, you can walk through in aloha. Affirmations and actions, leadership and love, overcoming obstacles, health and healing, and acute awareness. If you go back and listen to this recording again, you will hear me talk about awareness. You will hear me talk about leadership. You will hear me talk about action. And yeah, overcoming those obstacles, because sometimes, like I said, it is not a comfortable thing to just speak up for yourself, especially like for me, coming from a domestic violence situation where I basically learned that staying silent was safer. So now I need to know that no, my voice has value and I should speak up, because that is leadership. So I want to say something about what happened tonight, because it could happen in any workplace. Slow down. Slow down. Pay attention to the people around you, and never let frustration control your movements or your actions. And understand that one careless action can affect many lives. But it also reminded me that, and I want to remind you the same thing, is that you are allowed to advocate for yourself professionally. You are allowed. That is your human right. You are allowed to document the incidents. You are allowed to protect your well being. You are allowed to speak up respectfully. You're allowed to write that letter and send it off. That doesn't make you dramatic, it makes you responsible. So, for anyone dealing with workplace tension, if you're dealing with workplace conflict, tension, difficult people, difficult personalities, or toxic environments right now, here's my encouragement. Stay professional, stay factual, stay grounded. Don't gossip, don't retaliate. Protect your peace, protect your integrity, and protect your future. And remember, you can acknowledge harmful behavior without becoming harmful yourself. We want to make the world a better place. That is what we want to do. We don't want to be another problem in the circle of things. So, as painful and as frustrating as today was, or is, because I still haven't gone to bed, because I sleep with a body pillow. Okay, I sleep with a body pillow. I love to hug on my body pillow, and I love to cuddle my pillows. Okay, so I put my hand underneath the pillow, and I'm like, yes. So I'm kind of worried about the fact that I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna fall asleep. Everything will be good, and then I'm gonna jam this finger. You know what I mean. So it is now 2:45, and I haven't gone to sleep yet. Yeah, I know I got to. So, as painful and as frustrating as today was, I am still grateful, because it could have been so much worse, right? It could have been worse. it could have been broken. It could have broke at that impact. What if her stack of bins wasn't like this and was like this? I don't know, right? What if 2 more bins in that stack would have just broke my finger right there? It could have been so much worse. And I believe every experience teaches us something. So, like I said, you'll hear me mention walking in Aloha, because tonight reminded me that awareness matters. The last A in the Aloha Always framework is acute awareness. Awareness matters. People matter. Safety matters. And how we handle people matters. Everybody is carrying something that we may never fully see. And that is why when I look at people, when I see someone being difficult or they just carry that personality, I wonder what happened in their lives or what is going on in their life. Because everybody is carrying something that we may never fully see. And the one observation that I made, and I told my husband, is that if it was an accident, right? Or I don't know, if you created the accident, if you hurt someone, or if I did, or if he did, like when I was talking to him, I said, wouldn't you say sorry? Wouldn't you be remorseful and apologetic that you now see them icing their hand and you see all this, like the airport security, the LEOs, and the managers coming? Wouldn't you be like, oh my gosh, I really hurt this person, right? Yet, in the break room, I was in there, and this officer who dropped the bins came in, and nothing. No apology, no nothing. Literally looked at me like I was at fault, or like she was all disgusted with me and irritated, and just walked in, did her thing, and I sat there quiet because I was eating because I didn't have my lunch, so I was eating a protein bar. Nothing. Said nothing. And then just walked out. And I was like, wow. But then again, we're not the same people, right? We're not the same. And if I can be thinking about empathy and compassion, maybe she doesn't have that. Maybe something happened along the way. As I said, everybody is carrying something that we may never fully know. So I had to wonder, what happened? What made her that way? Why is she like that? So if tonight's message spoke to you, please share this live, because workplace safety matters. Professional communication matters. And self-advocacy matters. So if you're rebuilding your confidence, your boundaries, your voice, or your healing, remember, remember, I truly, truly want you to remember, because like I said, for me, it was difficult. But you are allowed to take up space. Remember that. You are allowed to take up space. You're allowed to protect yourself, and you are allowed to speak up. Speak up with wisdom, with professionalism, with grace, and with aloha. So, thank you so much for being with me on day 43 as I'm injured. Ah, on this 100 lives for 100 days. Please continue to pray for me as I heal and wait for the final radiology report to see if it's broken or not. I think I need to. I just looked at it and I'm like, I think I need to loosen this tape. It's like turning blue. It's so fat. Can you see it? Oh my gosh, it's swollen. See that big old bulge in my finger? Anyway. Ugh. I want to tell you something. It's funny. While the um, airport medics was doing my finger, right? They're like, the pain, your pain, between 1 and 10, is this the worst pain that you've ever felt in your life? And I was like, no, no. I have felt worse pain than this. Trust me. I have felt worse pain than this. And he's like, well, that's good. Where's your pain right now? And I said, about a 7. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I iced it already. So it's like at a 7. And I am still the way I am. And he's like, you're still smiling. And it is the way that I am. And as I said, I have gone through so much pain that this is not the worst pain that I felt in my life. Trust me. And I was like, it's good. And then he goes, at least you got your middle finger. He was just joking. Okay. So he was just trying to make light, and, I can understand. And I do have a good personality about things. I don't like drama. So he's like, well, at least you got your middle finger still yet, huh? And I was like, for what? Like this? Because I already had it. They already splinted it, right? And I was like this? It's like, and they just laugh. But anyway. I hope that this really did help somebody. I do. I really do. So if this helped you, please share, subscribe, and comment. Because if you're going through something like this, or if you have gone through something like this, I really would like to know. But until next time, I'm going to try to go to bed because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Have a blessed, blessed day. Bless the rest of your week. And until next time, God's blessings always, and Ahui ho.